Welcome to Maintaining Inner Peace During This Time of Civil Unrest, a collaboration of Penn's Lesbian Gay Bisexual Transgender Center and Counseling and Psychological Services. I'm Erin Cross, Director of the LGBT Center, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, everyone. My name is Malik Muhammad, and I use he, him, his pronouns, and I serve as the Associate Director at the Penn LGBT Center.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Leroy. I'm a psychologist at CAPS and one of the liaisons to the LGBT Center, and I use he, him, his pronouns.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Boyd. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm also one of the liaisons to the LGBT Center from CAPS, and I'm the Director of Training.
Hey everyone, I'm Britton Davis. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I also am a staff clinician at CAPS and one of the liaisons to the LGBT Center. And just a quick heads up before we get started, everything we talk about here are going to be mostly broad topics and tips. It's not intended to be a replacement for individual psychotherapy, but if you are interested in getting connected with CAPS or another therapist in the community, feel free to stay on until the last slide, which we will post all of the resources, or you can always visit CAP's website.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Britt. We're so excited to be here today, but with that excitement, I'm also a little annoyed that we even have to be having this conversation. With the state of our nation, it's truly devastating what we're seeing, but we at least wanted to provide a chance to really think through, again, how we can maintain a sense of inner peace during this time of civil unrest. Today, we're hoping to provide some insight on to how we can effectively cope with what I've been coining this global awakening as to racism and oppression of Black folks, specifically in our country. I think it's really important that we name right here today that I'm here with some other white folks, right? And we need to name specifically that there is this sense of white privilege that comes into this space. But at the same time, there's this notion sometimes that Black and people of color have to do the work of educating other folks, right? And there's a huge toll and emotional labor that comes along with that, and I want to name that and bring that into this space as well. But I want to say for myself as someone that is Black, right? I feel comfortable being here today. I feel like I have the capacity to do so and engaging with you all. So please know I'm not extending any type of labor here. I'm more than willing to do it, and I'm excited to be a part of this conversation. We're also really going to be coming from a place where we are centering Black experiences, but even more so Black trans experiences, right? We have to understand that Black and Black trans folks are disproportionately affected by what is happening today in our country. So we really want to bring that into the space. And as always, we are doing our best to embrace intersectionality, right? We mentioned this in our intro video that we're going to be coming at a lot of these topics that we're coming with from an intersectional lens. So we're definitely doing that today as well. But as I said, I'm really excited to be here with my allies, my white accomplices, if you will, who are here with us today. And Cindy, one of my favorite white accomplices, is going to get us started.
Thank you, Malik. So we've recently been very painfully reminded of just how psychologically and physically unsafe this world can be. These feelings that we are having right now of powerlessness, fear, being overwhelmed are totally natural, and they can be exacerbated by previous feelings of not being safe in the world. So you may be feeling even more than you normally feel. This is especially true for people of color and queer people who may find themselves being targeted on a chronic basis and not feel safe in their worlds in general. So this is a lot to hold for one person. We're here to give you some tips about how to manage some of those feelings, but also to let you know that you should not feel like you have to hold all of this by yourself. Please reach out to your support systems. Please reach out to us, to your campus resources. We want to be there to validate you, to help you hold this and process this so you don't have to be in it alone.
Yes, thank you so much, Cindy. You know, I think you said it well. There's so many feelings that could be coming up right now, and that feeling of unsafety and powerlessness is hard to manage. But I also wanted to bring into our conversation today that feeling of burnout that may be happening, especially for marginalized folks that have already been doing this type of social justice work, right? And one thing to really note is that it can be overwhelming. But the thing is understanding that there are many lanes to what activism and what social justice looks like. And you have to find for yourself what that lane is, right? It may be going out and protesting. It may be helping to educate folks through social media or within your own circles, right? Being able to take that step back and say, you know what? I'm finding what works for me. I'm finding what I have the capacity to do, right? And bringing that and knowing that it's okay and that there is this sense of doing enough. You know, I've been in a lot of conversations with some white folks in my life, and they're like, well, you know, I did this. Is this enough? Well, there is no cap as to what you can do or how you do it. It's just knowing that fighting for social justice is a continuous journey. It's something that we continuously do throughout our lives, throughout our actions. So knowing that what you're doing is enough, but you can continue to find ways in those avenues for yourself that work, right? One of the things that really is hard about this is that we get so focused on creating an outcome, right? A large outcome, but we have to know and understand that systemic change takes time, right? Just doing one thing and saying, oh, that's the cure all be all, I fixed the problems is not a reality, right? So knowing that you can take a step back and try to find for yourself what is that individual outcome you can have, right? Maybe just having that one conversation with someone was enough in that moment. Or maybe you've decided to donate to a Black organization, and maybe that was enough in that moment, right? So finding those individual outcomes is really, really important. Another piece of managing burnout is taking breaks, right? Like many of you, I have been flooded with Facebook posts, Instagram posts, Twitter just going nonstop. It's a lot. And it's okay to just take that break and say, you know what? I'm turning off social media. I'm not going to watch the news today. I'm going to take a moment and just say, I can't handle this. And that's fine, right? It's okay to take those breaks and come back in as you need to. Another major piece is like, really, to my Black folks, I want y'all to hear me when I say this. You do not have to be educating your white peers, right? That, like I mentioned earlier, that takes a toll, and it's an emotional labor that you should not have to do, right? And I know in moments you're like, well, who else is going to do it? Let somebody else carry the weight for a while, right? You've been in these conversations. It's okay to just take that step back. Maybe you just want to share a resource, right? I've had people reach out to me. They were like, Malik, well, what should I do? Instead of me trying to come up and frame different things to say, I'm like, here, check out this website. Here, read this article. Here, read this book, right? That takes the pressure off of you to have to do that extra labor, right? Again, let some other folks do the heavy lifting for a while. There's other ways that people can learn and work through that. But I will say in those moments, you may find yourself feeling guilty, right? And Matt is going to talk a little bit about how we can manage that guilt.
Thanks, Malik. Yeah, I think that guilt is a part of this process. And like Malik said so well, that we need to take care of ourselves and we need to take care of each other because this is a long struggle, and it can feel like the struggle is so big that we always can have that feeling that we're not doing enough. I think that it's important to hold ourselves accountable, but also stay humble as our education and experience kind of continues. For those of us who identify as white, I think it's important for us to hold the different kinds of privilege, or for those of us who identify as white or have other kinds of privilege, you know, we may experience guilt, and I think we really need to honor that and sit with that and have that motivate us to help change the systems that are problematic. I think it's really, really important that we don't let guilt paralyze us, which is kind of our natural instinct, is when we feel guilty, we want to stop. I think you need to kind of move past that and keep working and keep staying engaged. And to Black folks, I want to validate the pain and pressure that you might be feeling right now, and some guilt that you might be holding too, like Malik said. And I think that one way to manage guilt is for us to find meaning and joy kind of throughout this difficult time. So Malik, why don't you tell us a little bit about ways to find joy during this painful moment?
Yes. You know, even in trying times, it is important and you are allowed to find a sense of joy, right? Finding that sense of peace, right? Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the guilt of just being happy for a moment, right? I know a lot of times people are like, there's so much happening in the world. How am I supposed to be happy and find joy? I promise you, you can. And one way that you do that is continuing to connect with your chosen family, right? Finding ways to stay connected with the people that matter to you. Even in having some of those difficult conversations, just being with and connecting and finding ways to connect with those folks is important. And even during COVID-19, you can find ways to still stay connected, right? I know we're quarantined. I know we can't necessarily always be physically with each other, but there's ways where you can continue to find ways to connect. Get on Zoom, hop on that FaceTime call. Whatever you need to do for yourself, you can find ways to stay connected. The other thing is, taking a step back and saying, you know what, I'm not talking about that right now. I don't feel like it. Let's talk about something else. What have you been watching on TV, right? What have you done? Have you gotten outside and enjoyed nature at all, right? Being able to change the conversation a bit. Again, you might feel guilty for doing that, but it's okay to just take a break. Again, take that break and talk about something else. Get engaged in other things. And again, don't forget that you can make that extra effort of planning social distance events, right? Whether that's a hangout, a game night that you end up doing, or maybe you're going out for a hike. You can find ways to still stay distanced as you need to during this time. It is a-okay to find some joy. We got to find the happiness that comes from within and from each other.
Thanks so much, Malik. Finding joy is so key during all of these times and throughout all of our lives. We encourage you to check out other videos in this series and take care. Bye.